broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 173 of Gun Guy Radio. This is the podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Ryan Machad, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. This week, I'm joined by Jon Patton to discuss his new firearms multimedia venture, The Gun Collective. So as always, please consider supporting the Firearms Radio Network by shopping Amazon using our Amazon affiliate link at firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. A portion of your purchase will go towards helping the FRN create awesome pro-gun content like this show. So welcome, Jon. Very excited to have you on the show.
Hi, how are you?
Very, very good. So how's things been going? The new venture been going well?
Dude, things are absolutely hectic. They're crazy right now. It's fantastic. I mean, I can't be more excited.
Nothing like having a laundry list of things to do and only 24 hours in a day to do it, right? You
know, it's funny. I never would have considered that was... I always thought that was nonsense. Like, people just weren't going full on into it. And now that, like, that's my life now, I'm like, oh crap, they weren't kidding. There is never enough time in the day. Never.
There's always something left at the end of the day, and you're like, oh, man, I got to get that done.
Yeah, every day.
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, The Gun Collective with Jon Patton.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it.
So, longtime fans of the formerly Chaos 311 Clarity YouTube channel and Facebook page will have noticed the recent evolution into something called The Gun Collective. So this week we have with us Jon Patton, the man behind The Gun Collective, to discuss his new venture. So, to understand where you're going, we should really hear about the path you've taken so far. So, how did your channel and page originally start out?
So, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was just getting into guns, and I was looking around on YouTube and seeing what kind of reviews were out there. And I thought at the time that most of the content available was trash. And it was. There was a lot of people just starting out. Gun reviews were a kind of a new thing in a video format. The only big-time guy at the time was Nut and Fancy on YouTube. And I mean, he was, as much as some people kind of hate him, and I don't enjoy his content anymore, he was the reason a lot of guys got started. So, taking that idea, I started making my own content, and at first, I mean, it was awful. My very first video, my very first quote-unquote review is still up on my Chaos 311 Clarity page, just as a reminder of where I've come from. And, over the few years, I started increasing the content, doing different things, shooting in full HD and yada, 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 getting the audio better, blah, 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 blah. And it just grew from there. I started getting manufacturer contact in like 2010 was when Beretta actually reached out to me first. And this was after I had bought one of their shotguns. They saw my review of that shotgun and were like, hey, man, that was incredible. We would love to have you do more. So I got into it, and I luckily really enjoyed the guns they sent me. So that was a natural progression. And then the channel continued to grow. It was a hobby for a lot of years, and I took breaks here and there, and it wasn't until, let's say, it's June. It was about a year ago, actually. I actually lost my job that I had as a marketing manager. I'm sorry, I can't speak this morning. At a local gun shop. I was working in gun stores as an evolution of my career. I started out in IT and then grew into working at gun stores and things like that. And I worked at a gun store and ended up getting laid off from there because of some unfortunate circumstances. And that was kind of the the throttle. That was the catalyst to me really going full force on the Chaos page, putting out a ton of content in the last like 6 months of 2014. And then, I had some unfortunate things happen earlier in 2014 that kind of put me into some life-changing events, and then it just kind of ramped up, and I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do with my career full-time. At the time, I was unemployed, so we were putting a ton of effort in. My buddy Brian came on to help me create videos, because at that point, I was doing, we were filming 2 to 3 videos a week, and it was just humping. We were just going. It was crazy. So we got over this big mountain of content that we wanted to, and about the beginning of the year, should I say the end of the year, we were actually getting asked to do some commercials and things like that for other companies. And, we started doing that, and it was really incredible. And that kind of spawned my business, Patton Media and Consulting. That, again, was another evolution of what we were doing. I started doing video marketing for some companies in the firearms industry, and it expanded again when we decided, you know what, the Chaos stuff, we were making some content for it. Like there was a whole bunch of exotic shotgun ammunition videos that came out that were a lot of fun to make, but we wanted to kind of evolve. At that point, I had a cameraman working for me, and the team had grown, but the content was still kind of the same. So we decided, you know what, it's time to start a new venture. Obviously, we were going to continue releasing the content that we had filmed for the Chaos 311 Clarity page. And at the current time, there's still videos that need to go out on that page, which is kind of funny to me. So anyway, we've grown. The team had grown at that point, and we decided to change and rebrand into something new. And at the time, I'm tired of doing standard gun reviews. I think gun reviews are not entertaining for me to make anymore. Like, that's the reason I got into videos, and I kind of lost my way and then found it again, that I need to make videos that, I really enjoy. So, that in mind, we said, what kind of content do I really enjoy, and what is missing in the firearms industry? And that's where the Gun Collective came about.
Well, and I think you have a unique perspective in terms of the multimedia side of it, because a lot of these larger companies, and even some of the smaller ones that have been around for a long time, some of them haven't even made the jump into a large social media presence.
Which is hilarious.
Right. And you have, being a being a YouTuber who has some experience with that whole medium and the whole social media platform, you have your pulse on what interests people, on what will grab people's attention. And so I'm sure that your presence as a media personality, as well as your ability to market with your Patton Media Consulting, is really going to help these companies get a foothold in the social media area where they may not have too much presence.
It's really not about my past experience. That helps. It sure does. Excuse me. It's really not about where that came from. The thing that a lot of people miss is that social media is exactly what it sounds like. It's a way to put out content in a social format. And a lot of companies miss that. They're so tied into making their products that they miss this way to interact with their fans and grow their businesses. That's what it's all about. And I think a lot of people miss that. And unfortunately, the kind of old guard of the firearms industry, as it were, they are stuck in their ways, like magazines and things like that. Print media, as far as I'm concerned, is if it's not dead already, it's 1 foot in the grave. And there are a lot of companies out there that are kind of dabbling in social media, and they're trying to do it the old way. They're trying to adapt their older mentalities, and I don't mean age. I mean the way their companies work. They're trying to adapt that older way to what we have now, and it's not working. And they're like, "Oh my God, this social media doesn't work." And it's no, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
You're doing it wrong.
It could be something as simple as having a Facebook page and responding to questions from customers. Because
exactly. Like, it's not even that difficult.
you think about the old magazine days where you had Guns and Ammo or whatever magazine you looked at. And the only correspondence you would ever really have with the editor would be if your letter got posted in the letters to the editor section.
Yeah, and what's very funny to me is I can tell you exactly in my opinion, if a company is going to grow within that next year, if I go to them at like SHOT or NRA or something like that, and I talk to them and I say, we get into discussing their marketing strategies, and they're like, yeah, we've got some stuff going out in magazines, and I'm like, cool, so nobody's going to know about your stuff because nobody reads magazines anymore.
Right, it's funny. I used to be an avid print magazine reader for guns, and now I think that I only maybe buy one every few months.
Well, here's the thing. Even then, think about how you read a magazine, and this is where a lot of companies fail. And I know, guys at home, we're talking about marketing strategies and this and that, but this all applies to you as a gun guy. I mean, we first and foremost, Ryan and I are gun guys. So you need to, that's part of the understanding here is, yes, we work in the industry, but we're also consumers and also want companies to succeed. That's part of what we do is try and help the community grow and become this new and awesome thing. So think of the way you read a magazine. When you flip through there, you look at the cover, right? You're presented with the cover. And you go, okay, that's in there, that's in there. Oh, that grabbed me. I want to look at the gun that's on the cover. So what do? You flip straight to it. You maybe look at one or two ads. You flip through till you find what you want to do and then put it aside. Quite literally, set it aside and don't look at it ever again unless you're sitting on the toilet. You know what I mean? That's the way 99% of people engage with magazines. Right. And the thing that blows my mind is how much these old guard companies are willing to invest in that kind of passive stuff. It's like you have to interact with your audience. Gone are the days when you can just put an ad in front of them and hope it turns around sales. Because there are companies out there now that will hustle and they will make sure that their products are seen. And 9 times out of 10, they've got good stuff. They're beating these bigger companies to the punch, and it's entertaining to watch. And right. I'll gladly help any company out there I can make that happen and get there to the punch. And that's not me trying to promote my business. That's just saying that I love the guys that hustle.
Right. Well, and we're in the days of you can get exactly what you want and only what you want, as opposed to, like you said, you have a magazine with maybe 2 articles that interest you and a bunch of fluff, at least to you, a bunch of fluff. So if I want to listen to a podcast on precision rifle, I know I can go right to the Precision Rifle podcast and hear everything I want to hear and nothing about
right. You don't have to wade through
something. Right.
Yeah, you don't have to wade through a ton of other content that's irrelevant to your interests. You can dial in and actively seek out the information you want, and it exists. So the companies that don't do that will fall away, and it's a shame because some of those companies are absolutely massive.
Absolutely. Now, when someone has just finished watching a video from the Gun Collective, so the Gun Collective is your new video venture, and what is the goal of that? What do you want people to take away from that after they're done watching your stuff you post?
So the first show, for those of you that have not seen it, the first show is called TGC News. The Gun Collective is the brand, TGC News is the show. And it's meant to be a super entertaining way to bring the firearms news to people in a video format that's super easy to consume. It's always going to be like under 10 minutes, very short, just a few stories that are like heavy hitters. And, I put my opinion and some humor into there. And, I want people to walk away going, okay, I'm up to date. That was entertaining to watch. I don't feel like I just wasted, 10 minutes of my life. And, it's that has never been done before in the firearms industry. And I feel like I'm almost bragging because I kind of discovered something that nobody has done. But, from my perspective, nobody has delivered the news in that format in a super entertaining way. We've got really great blogs. We've got a ton of really great blogs. We've got a ton of really great podcasts. In fact, I'm on This Week in Guns almost every week, like a pretty regular guest on This Week in Guns right here on the Firearms Radio Network. So the podcast area is locked up. That's a great show, and it works in that format. But nobody had done it in video. And I said, okay, well, how can we do it in video and be different and be good? So we're shooting at quality levels that are super. That's like I've been told multiple times, and I'm not, again, I feel like I'm bragging, but we're shooting at TV quality levels and delivering content that is just as high as we can possibly get it. and I want people to step away and go, that was awesome. You know, I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to go watch more.
Well, and one of the things I noticed, at least in my opinion, was really important on that first episode of TGC News, was that when you talked about the news subject, you were clear, you were concise, you were to the point, but you weren't overly sensational or exaggerating the subject matter like a lot of people do. And there are a lot of blogs that have turned me off from reading them just because every time something comes out, it's, you know, headline news, breaking, this is happening, this person is threatening this. And then come to find out, you know, a few hours later, someone researches it, and you see in the comments a complete rebuttal of what the person said in their article.
Yeah, it's funny. There are a lot of guys that do that. They live on sensationalism. I live on, you know, realistic approach.
Right.
I mean, there are certain things that I do that are a little bit over the top, but they're purposefully done over the top. It's kind of tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? Like if I say like, "Oh, the world is coming to an end," it's with humor in mind. You know, it's meant to be funny.
Yeah, it's just sometimes they get so sensationalized, and some people, you know, some of the more, you know, maybe people who are on the fence who are like, you know, being told every day that gun people are crazy nut jobs and stuff like that, and people are like, well, you know, I don't think that, and then they see one of these news articles and like, well, that guy's acting pretty crazy on the video, so.
And to be fair, sensationalism sells. People look at sensationalism. They do.
Of course.
However, integrity and sensationalism don't always go hand in hand. So,
right.
I think we are very fortunate to have found an approach that allows us to maintain integrity, but also have fun.
Now, kind of going beyond the print media, in your opinion, what do you think is something that is lacking in the firearms industry media in terms of videos and blogs, stuff like that, and how can we change that?
Integrity is lacking. You know, we just talked about integrity is lacking in a huge way from a lot of the bigger outlets. It's all about who can pay them more and, you know, who's done them more favors over the years. And a prime example was not that long ago when the Remington R51 came out.
Oh.
There were a couple articles that came about early, like really early into the gun's life cycle, that short life cycle. And, you know, it was like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread and blah, 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 blah. And then the guns actually made it out to other people, you know, with integrity, and they crapped all over the gun because it was awful. And those magazines were like, we don't know what to do because it was garbage.
That was an especially painful segment there. Because I remember my buddy Paul Carlson over at Safety Solutions Academy, he bought one of the first ones that came out, and we actually did an episode of my show, Handgun Radio, talking about it. And he was having nothing but problems. All the issues that people reported with the R51 he was having. And I think it was not long after that, one of the print magazines, I won't say who, ran a glowing review of the R51. And when the person who wrote it was criticized, they had a huge issue with it. Everybody jumped to their defense, and all the bloggers, and myself included, were saying, I know you guys are not immune to the internet. I know you have seen the multiple hundreds of negative reviews and comments about this gun, and I know you're aware that Remington knows there's an issue.
Right, but they still maintained that they were right.
Right, and they said, well, if something's good, we don't run it, so you should look at what we publish as well as what we don't publish. And it's like, okay, you guys got a prototype gun hand-fitted at the factory. You did not get a production gun, and that's a huge problem for me. These companies should not be getting these prototype guns.
Well, that's the Ferrari approach, and let me explain that. So Ferrari, I'm a car guy from years back. Ferrari is notorious for not allowing car reviewers and journalists to get in their vehicles without them sending it from the factory. And it's not an off-the-show floor car. It's from the factory. It's tuned. 9 times out of 10, it has better tires, better performance, all that sort of stuff. So when they go, like a magazine or an outlet will do a test, the Ferrari always does well because of that. And they caught a lot of crap over the years because the numbers that were in the magazines and stuff were not matching the performance that people were getting off the show floors, which is pretty funny. And going on this integrity thing, I think my biggest problem, I talked about print media. My biggest issue with the video guys and the bloggers and podcasters, sometimes those guys, the podcasts are typically good people. I don't consume a lot because it's usually long form, but I know that the guys that I do know are full of integrity. Now, where I'm going with this is that the podcasters, I'm sorry, my screen fell asleep. The podcasters that are out there, or excuse me, the video bloggers and the actual blogs, there are a lot of proverbial yes men. And the reason I say that is because, let's say a small YouTuber gets a gun, from a huge company. Well, they, of course, want to continue that so that they can continue using and playing with somebody else's guns. They want to do that. They want to please that company. So what they do is they say, oh, this is a great gun. This is the best thing ever. It's just yes, 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 yes. There's no negativity at all. They just want to put it up on a pedestal so that they can get more. And that is a big problem. We have to, as a community, acknowledge the downfalls of guns and ammunition and other products so that we can create better products and have a more healthy community. This oh, yeah, that's great just because I know you kind of approach is awful.
Right, exactly. Like most of the guns I do, whenever I review them, they're guns I either borrow or I've purchased myself. They weren't given to me. And most of the products I do, I've either done that, purchased myself or borrowed. And it's just, like you said, when you get stars in your eyes when you're first contacted and say, oh, well, we'll send you this, we'll send you that. And it's like, you don't know what to do. And you don't want to make anybody mad, but you also want to do an unbiased product review.
Right.
So it can be difficult striking that balance between the two.
Well, the way that I've typically approached it is, listen, you can send me this gun, and I, if there is a major problem, if there is a major flaw with it working, I will give you every opportunity to fix it. And the reason I do that, and the guys are like, oh, well, you sent it back to the factory and they fixed it. Well, yeah. Because I don't want to trash a company. It's the exact same thing I would do if I had just bought the gun. I would go, oh, I'm having an issue. Let me send it back to them and see if they can fix it. I wouldn't just immediately take it out and go all over the internet and crap all over it. That's not the way this works. So for me, I consider myself a decent person. I'll give them an opportunity to fix the product and work with them to make a better product for the end user. And if that happens, sure. And it rarely happens. Most guns that I played with work fine. Are they the best thing out there? Not all of them, but most of the ones I work with are fine. And, I think, again, a lot of guys are just so eager to please these big companies. It doesn't work out in the end. And the other thing is, I think it's see-through.
Right.
I think a lot of the end users out there are not stupid. You guys listening, you're not dumb. You understand exactly what's happening here. And if you get, you click on a video, listen to a podcast, and you can hear the guy just full of crap, then, you'll see right through it, and it won't be a problem.
Well, and how the company handles your issue with that gun is almost just as important as the gun working itself.
Right, and I think it's important within the context of a review to mention that. Hey, initially I was having blank problem. That I sent it back to them. They addressed it as such. Either they said it was a problem and fixed it, or they didn't think it was a problem, blah, 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 blah. And then you go from there. That disclosure is so beneficial to the end users, of what to expect. And maybe they got an early production gun like you have in the review or something like that. And they want to see if their gun has that problem. Well, then they know how to proceed.
Right. Could be a great gun or a great product, and you may find that the company wasn't very good at helping you out with the problem, and that may influence that person's buying decision just as much as the gun itself.
Right. And I think a lot of reviewers miss the fact that they're not there to help the companies 100%. They're there to help the companies. They're also there in a bigger way to help the consumer find good things.
Right. So, in terms of a game plan for the Gun Collective, do you plan on being a strongly video-driven site or a combination of video and text-style blogging?
We plan on being heavy on video. I mean, that's where we live. We live and breathe video. However, I'm not writing off text. I'm not writing off podcasts because I think they all hold value. If we can create content for everybody out there, I would love to do so. But right now, we're a small company. There's just 3 of us. So if we jump into too many things, it'll get out of hand and the quality won't be there. So we're concentrating on video right now, where there's one show. We've got plans for tons and tons of other content, fun stuff, serious stuff, educational stuff. And just growing the Gun Collective as a whole. I never designed the Gun Collective to be just me. That's not what this is all about. The Gun Collective is there to be a home for gun information and done in a way that is ultra entertaining and, just easy to watch. And that's what we're all about.
Right, yeah. It seems to be a lot of stuff lately is very video-driven, scrolling through Facebook and other social media, and you see a lot of that stuff. So I'm sure that'll be a good approach.
For sure, man. I think video is, of course I think this, but I think video is where marketing is going and where content is going. I mean, we as a whole need to be aware that video is an important thing to have in our Rolodex, and being that that's what we do as my marketing company, but also how I deliver content and how I've done it for years. I mean, that's where I live and breathe. I love it.
Now, before we get into a couple questions about the gun and gear, what would be one piece of advice you could give any aspiring YouTuber or video producer on guns?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. The number one thing that you need to do as a content creator, if you decide to make that leap, is to stay true to yourself. Do the things that interest you, because the second you step away from that, you're stepping in the wrong direction. And we've all been guilty of it. I mean, I've talked to content creators myself that are out there. They've strayed away from why they started in the first place, which is to talk about stuff they enjoyed, and it hurts them. They feel like the content is lacking. And I did this myself. That's why I stepped away for a while, partially, because I was no longer enjoying it. You have to do it as you enjoy it, and the arrangements will come, the funding will come, all that stuff will come in time. However, understand that when you jump into these markets, you're not alone. There are a lot of guys out there creating really, really good content. So take some time and really think about what you're doing before you spend your entire life, filming everything on a cell phone. Think about it. If you wouldn't watch your own content or consume your own content, then perhaps you're doing something wrong. And this is something that can apply in all of life. You have to be honest with yourself. If you are not 100% honest with yourself, you're going to fall short. Like, I know that there are things that I'm not the best at, but I won't sit there and tell myself I'm awesome at running. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a chubby bastard. So, you have to be honest with yourself when you're creating content.
Absolutely. I know one thing I got to work on is getting a better microphone for my camera, because my range is very windy.
Yeah, that's a big downfall for a lot of guys, is having that good audio. That's a big problem.
So what are some of the cool guns and gear you have lined up for the Gun Collective?
We are not necessarily doing a lot of gun reviews specifically, so there aren't a whole lot of things lined up for that. We've got some gear coming. I've got some stuff from Kinetic Dev Group. They just released their Connect system, which is like the fastest M-lock attachment or gun attachment system ever. It's really impressive. Got some of those coming. I also have some RE Factor tactical gear. They do a lot of nylon bags and survival gear and stuff like that. We're going to be looking at those. But, I also have my own guns that I actually, maybe never got on video for whatever reason. We're doing a lot of gun porn on social media. You can check us out on our social media outlets like Instagram and Facebook to check out the gun porn, because we feel like that's a big part of what we're doing. We love it. I love that thing looks amazing, so yeah, there'll be guns like that 500. I've got a couple 500 Magnums that we're going to be playing with, shotguns, handguns, my Desert Eagle, things like that. Just really hashing out the things that I couldn't do or didn't have a chance to do with the Chaos stuff, and we're going to deliver it in a way cooler way in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, that's a good segue there to my last question. What is the story behind that 500 lever action?
So, it was 2 years ago. I was working in a gun store in Amish country in Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm talking the heart. I sold guns to Amish guys. We were in Amish country. So I found this gun that was a lever action chambered in 500 Magnum. It was the only thing the company made. It's a company called Bighorn Armory, and they're out in, I believe, Wyoming. I'm not 100% at this point.
I think so, yeah.
So I went on there, and at the time I was making videos, and I was really enjoying it. So I called them up, and I said, listen, I'd like you to do something really special for me. Can we do a one-off? And, after some talking about what I wanted to do and what was possible, long story short, I ordered a 500 Smith & Wesson lever action that had raised sights and a threaded muzzle, as well as some other really special stuff like a case-hardened receiver set, a rust-blued barrel, really high-quality walnut furniture on it, and it's a beautiful gun, absolutely beautiful. I have a suppressor for it. So right now, in the entirety of the world, I have the only Bighorn Armory 500 Smith & Wesson that is suppressed.
How does it work with that suppressor?
It's amazing. It is absolutely. Now it's not a quiet can. It's a rifle can, first of all. And it's not ultra quiet, but it is hearing safe, and the way it changes the recoil impulse is amazing. I mean, there's nothing like it, really. And again, it sounds I don't want you guys at home to think like I'm bragging, but this is really freaking cool. And I waited for it for 2 years. I waited for that gun for 2 whole years. It was a lot of issues. The company was still relatively new when I ordered it, so. There was production issues along the way, like, suppliers, backing out and all this other crazy stuff that company dealt with over the years. And I put up with it. I didn't ask for my money back because the end result of what I have now is amazing.
That 500 out of a rifle is really something else, too. I remember watching a guy down at the range shooting one. I think he had a handy rifle that he had chambered in it. Yeah, and he was ringing steel with that thing, and just the shot every time, it felt like somebody punched you right in the chest.
Yeah. I have a 50 Beowulf as well. That was actually the first AR-15 I built, was a 50 Beowulf. That's how weird I am. So it's similar in the way it sounds when it's hitting steel to a Beowulf. So that was not new to me. What is really cool is just how much it just literally eradicates things like watermelons and water bottles and things like that. It's definitely a little bit more energy than the Beowulf, and it's shooting, like I can send a 400 grain bullet down range at like 2,200 feet per second. It's just screaming fast.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I haven't even gotten into hand loading yet. That's where that gun's gonna shine, is when I can do subsonic loads or some really big time flamethrower supersonic loads like I do in the Desert Eagle. If I can make that happen out of a rifle, I'll be really excited.
That will be awesome. So with that, we'll wrap up the main topic and close out the show. Well, John, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. Really enjoy having you on the show. Where can people find more information, and where can they stay updated on everything with the Gun Collective?
Ryan, dude, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute blast. I love talking with you. Guys at home, if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook.com/The Gun Collective. Right now it's in a naming transition, so The Gun Collective is where you'll find it. And you can find me on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, all at The Gun Collective. If you want to follow me, my personal page on Instagram, it's Jon Patton. And, you can find us on YouTube. Again, search out The Gun Collective. And there's lots of good stuff in the pipe, and I would love to hear from you guys out there. If you want to see something specific, if you want to hear an opinion, whatever it is, reach out to me. I want to know it.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, and there will be links to that in the show notes. So thanks again, John, for coming on.
Dude, thanks again for having me. Always a good time.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. hunterofdesign.com.
Well, I hope you're enjoying Gun Guy Radio, and if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/FRN. What is Patreon, you might ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying the show, you can head over to patreon.com/FRN and pledge $1 an episode or $5 an episode to help support pro-gun radio like this. So that about wraps up this episode of Gun Guy Radio. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so that you never miss a show. And please leave us a review there as well, gunguyradio.com/iTunes. Please consider joining the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation. There are links there in the show notes. And don't forget to check out the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. Also, be sure to check out the Patriot Patch Company, started by FRN's own Jake Challand and Ryan Cross. Patriot Patch Company offers high-quality 3D PVC vinyl patches with Velcro backing that is sure to satisfy any taste. Their new I'm Your Huckleberry patch is available for pre-order and is a personal favorite. Be sure to check them out at www.patriotpatch.co. This is Ryan Bachad, and I'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. Are you looking for an extraordinary daily carry option? Look no further. Car Arms is giving away a P9 with night sights right here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's Car's EDC drawing. To enter, simply become a Patreon of any Firearms Radio Network show. Current patrons are automatically entered. But wait, there's more. Keybar, Hellbent holsters, Alien Gear holsters, Precision Ear, and more have ponied up to enhance your EDC loadout. See all of these awesome prizes and more ways to enter at firearmsradio.tv/EDC.